Yoga Rurukshu, beginning. Yoga Rurukshu is the beginning steps of yoga, and Yoga Ruda is when one is advanced. And now in the next 3 verses, he's going to describe how is a person in Yoga Ruda stage. For one who has, for him who has conquered the mind. No, we already did that. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So the purpose of practicing all this, one who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy. And thus his life and its mission are spoiled. As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve what all? The dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. So all these negative thoughts are arising in the mind. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. So you see what a great enemy it is, because it's like a demon. It's keeping us away from Krishna. It is completely telling us to listen to it and, all whatever. And what are the thoughts coming from the mind? All these things. Anger, lust, hatred, envy, pride, okay, then greed, illusion, everything, all these 6 things or of material, weaknesses or negative things are all coming from the mind. And it is keeping us, and actually imagine, now, when the mind is controlled, immediately we can hear the Paramatma or the conscience, as most people experience. They say this is conscience. So, but when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of God. And there's no force. The Lord gives us free choice. But when we get a taste, the mind is telling us, no, don't go there. Okay, it'll be boring. You listen to me, then you'll enjoy so much. And we just listen to it, and we are so foolish. We don't understand how wonderful it is if we surrender to Krishna and get his instructions. That is elevating. That is liberating. That makes us unlimited, because Krishna is so unlimited, and all his instructions and guidance, his dictation are all very ecstatic, because he's full of ananda. Imagine how wonderful his guidance will be, full of ecstasy, full of happiness. He'll always take us through beautiful path. The mind will drag us down towards hell. So that's the intelligence we should use, spiritual intelligence, and say no to the mind and say yes to Krishna. And that we have got in a very wonderful way by just saying yes to chanting Hare Krishna and just listening to him and not to our mind. Then, text 7. For jitatmana prasantasya paramatma samahita shitoshna sukha dukkeshu tata mana pamanayu. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. Just imagine what a wonderful state when you're not affected by anything. In the material world, you'll keep on getting something or the other, one stroke of happiness, another stroke of distress, constantly being tossed about. And that happiness is also mostly absence of distress. That we call happiness. It's not absolute happiness. Then there is no distress, then we think, I'm happy. So, when the mind is misled by external illusory energy, one becomes entangled in material activities. Therefore, as soon as one's mind is controlled through one of the yoga systems, one should be considered to have already reached the destination. One has to abide by superior dictation, not by the mind's dictation. When one's mind is fixed on the superior nature, he has no alternative but to follow the dictation of the Supreme. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. The effect of controlling mind is that one automatically follows the dictation of the Paramatma or Super Soul. Otherwise, what's a dictation is the mind following of the senses. Whatever the senses want, the mind wants. And whatever the mind, and so the mind is controlling the senses. And the mind is supposed to be controlled by intelligence, spiritual intelligence. But if it is controlled by material intelligence, the intelligence is also following the mind. Whatever the mind says, it's very attractive. Intelligence will work very hard to fulfill the mind. So that is misuse of one's intelligence. Actually, the spiritual intelligence is the next door neighbor of the soul. It's almost as pure as the soul, spiritual intelligence. And it is supposed to control the mind and say, no, nonsense, don't think like that. Give, so because the soul is strong, then the intelligence is strong. Intelligence can dictate to the mind, and the mind controls the senses. So that is perfect. Because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness, devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This state is practical samadhi or absorption in the Supreme. Only in the material world you have all these dualities. In the spiritual world, everything is happiness. There is also heat and cold and everything over there. There is also crying and happiness and all that. That is when they meet, they're very happy. When they separate, they cry. But both give happiness. Because in the spiritual realm, there is no unhappiness at all. Simply for variety, Krishna creates these things. And so they are enjoying all the time. So this state is practical samadhi or absorption in the Supreme. So this is very exciting, right? To think that very easily, I can come to a state when I'm not affected by all these, dualities. Sometimes you're pulled up and sometimes you're pushed down. Sometimes people praise you. Sometimes people throw you down, insult you. All these things are happening. Everybody goes through all these things, right? Sometimes you have a lot of money, sometimes not much money. So we go through all this and we are very disturbed. Oh, we think that, oh, if I don't have all the nice things, then I'm going to be very happy. But if we understand that it is all coming from the mind, who said that only if you are like this, you can be happy? You can be happy always when you're connected with Krishna, and you'll always be protected. You'll always be guided. You'll always be, he is giving a dictation. So he's constantly talking to us. Prabhupada, he used to read his own books, whatever is written. So the devotees asked disciples, Prabhupada, why you're reading your own books? You only have written it. Why you're reading? He said, no, I didn't write. Krishna dictated and I just wrote. So you see, everything is coming from Krishna. Vyasadeva, how did he write? How did he speak like that? It's all coming. Of course, he himself is the expansion of Krishna. He's a Satyavesh avatar. So it just came, but that's all coming from Krishna. Prabhupada, how did he write so many books? In just 11 years, he finished some like 80 books. No other, no, there's no author who has written so many books. Every author takes at least 3-4 years to write one book and get it published. And here, so many books in 11 years he finished. Why? Because Krishna was dictating to him and he just spoke in the dictaphone. Can you imagine? He didn't sit and think, oh, today I'm not getting a mood. I'm not in a mood. I'm not getting any inspiration. This is how the material authors work. They are dependent on the mood and some creative inspiration they get. But here, that also is coming from Krishna only, but it is material energy according to the karma. But here, because he's serving Krishna, everything Krishna is dictating to him. So our life also can be molded like that, where everything we get dictation from Krishna. Do like this, do like that's wonderful, isn't it? To be always connected to the Lord. So it starts with controlling the mind. And here, these 3 verses are telling how a person who has controlled his mind lives. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. So when we experience our soul, then automatically this matter will seem very insignificant. As long as we have not experienced the soul, and then we are only dependent on material things, that is why it seems very exciting. Oh, so much of gold, and no, so then we make a distinction that, oh, I don't want pebbles, I want gold. But for a self-realized soul, everything is the same. What is the use of all that? I'm getting a higher happiness by serving Krishna. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. So it is very easy process. One is, we saw that again in the 5th chapter, Arjuna was asking Krishna, tell me which is better. Is it better to just get knowledge, renounce everything and get knowledge, or is it better to work? And always Krishna is telling it's better to work. 3rd chapter also he said, again 5th chapter is again reassuring him. So all we have to do is just work in a mood of service. Then everything will be revealed. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes. This is the highest perfection. When you can see the Lord, all the time you can be seeing the Lord, and then you understand all his qualities and always meditating on his pastimes. Then you can get all that. Actually, somebody in the Western country, they asked, challenged Prabhupada in a public program, can you see God? And he said, I'm seeing him every moment. So many times Krishna actually appeared before him, and that is all recorded by the devotees, how he was just crying. And, Krishna actually spoke to him, all these things. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, okay. So just by doing service in a service mood, you'll be able to see Krishna one day. So that is fantastic, isn't it? Whatever you're doing, whatever duties you're doing, do it out of devotion and love. And also spiritual services, sharing this knowledge with others, bringing people to Krishna consciousness, that will satisfy Krishna very much. That, and also our work we do with devotion, then one day you'll see Krishna. In fact, once, in San Francisco, there was a Rath Yatra, and after the program was over, Prabhupada, the devotees were driving him. Mansi, can you also make my video appear on top? No, the
Yes.
screen should be below. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
So if we do service in the mood of pleasing Krishna, that is what is required, service attitude, simply for the sake of pleasing Krishna. Then we will get all this. This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who's in pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions. But by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. It is the realized soul who is actually self-controlled because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are of no greater value than pebbles or stones. So that is also knowledge. because people, we've got the disease that we want more and more knowledge. In the beginning, we are like that. We think if we keep on reading, listening, lot of, everywhere we go and accumulate a lot of knowledge, then we'll become very advanced or liberated. But we have to, whatever knowledge we get, the proper knowledge, it has to be assimilated, digested, and that becomes realized knowledge, vijnanam. That is what makes us perfect. Because then what happens is he becomes satisfied with pure devotional service. Ultimately, what is transcendental knowledge? We saw that, right? Transcendental knowledge means coming in touch with Paramatma. That is knowledge, because all knowledge is coming from Krishna. And if we come in touch with Krishna through yoga, that's it. You have all transcendental knowledge. You don't need to keep on figuring out, reading to all kinds of things. 6.7. Okay. Controlling the mind. Super soul is already reached. That is the 6.7. Tranquil amidst dualities. That's what happens. Self-realized yogi sees pebbles and gold as the same. These are the qualifications of a person who's successful in controlling the mind. One thing is already in touch with the super soul. He is very peaceful even amidst dualities, and he sees pebbles and gold as the same. He's not attracted to material things. Then we'll see more advanced than that, the 9th verse.
Hare Krishna Mataji, sorry to interrupt.
Yes,
Mataji, here it is somewhat given, you should not degrade ourselves. Actually, what does it means, Mataji? Again, again in another sloka, it is told that honor and dishonor should be equipoised. Can you please explain me about this, Mataji?
Yes, okay. So, see, everything is coming from the mind, okay? When something happens and all, it's the mind which is saying. Mind is, the nature of the mind is like that it's always very negative, because it's taking us away from Krishna, right? So it makes us imagine all sorts of things, which is not true. Truth is with Krishna. And when you're not with Krishna and you're with your mind, it's all full of lies and falsehoods. For example, the way we, some of the nature of the mind. One thing is, suppose you're hearing some news about, you haven't seen some loved one far away. The first thing is, suppose some news is there, immediately you just feel that, oh, nothing bad should have happened. We think, oh, the worst. That is one thing. It's always, imagining the worst, or something happens and we build a big story. Something we don't like happens. Somebody said something and we create a big story around it. And then we connect the dots and say, oh, that day this happened. And I think they are thinking like that and this. Because how do we know other people's minds? But our mind imagines so many things. And that is why so much of barriers between people, misunderstandings happen, because our minds are overactive. And then I think something about you and you must be thinking something else totally different. But I feel, no, I know, I trust my mind. My mind knows everything. But it doesn't. Many times you would have experienced, right? You would have thought something about a person, this is what they're thinking, and they'll say, no, not at all. I never did all this, what you're telling me. But a mind told us, very certainly, no, this is how it is. So, that, and what was your question? Why the mind?
Mataji, here one should be not degrade himself.
Degrading. So if you listen to your mind, you'll become, first of all, the mind is very attached to sense gratification. Like say somebody thinks, oh, it's great fun, to go to the pub and drink with all my friends. The mind is telling all that. And so you just listen. Somebody has put that idea in your mind, and then you think, yes, I must do that. Otherwise, I won't be happy. So you can degrade yourself like that. But suppose you use your intelligence and says that is all nonsense. It's very bad for the health. And what kind of enjoyment is that? You just get drunk and after that, you don't even know what you're doing. And then next day you gotta get a hangover, and then you'll become you won't even function properly, and everybody will suffer because of that. So like that, you can use your intelligence to control the mind. But if you allow the mind to dictate to you, you'll get degraded, because the mind is always going towards sense gratification, something or the other. Why are people always, and to cater to the mind, there are so many advertisements, so many social medias always also telling us different things of sense gratification, which is also available. Though devotees are watching all Krishna conscious things, so we are not distracted by that social media. We like social media. We're not against social media, because we are using all the right things in the service of Krishna. But those who are not doing that, then the mind will, we just allow the mind to take us everywhere. Whatever the mind says, we think that only must be good. So then we'll get degraded. And it happens through association also. If you are associating with people, whatever they are doing, you'll get that mentality also. No, so we shouldn't degrade, but instead we should be determined to associate with people who have controlled their mind and are progressive and leading good lives. We should try to associate with them. Then our minds also will get purified, and we will also desire those things.
Yes,
Yes.
Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Okay. So these are the we saw, and then we saw these three qualities. Super soul is already reached, and then very tranquil amidst dualities, and sees pebbles and gold as the same. Now we see someone who is more advanced. What he does. This is even more difficult. And then a person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. This is very difficult, right? Normally, we become very happy when those who are always telling good things to us, who are well-wishers or who are praising us, then we like those people. And other people who act like an enemy or do things against us, then we don't like. So this is normally, to be, not be overtaken by, prejudices. I like these people, from nothing. I mean, you should not allow any of those mental concoctions to affect you, but you're just going by dictation of Krishna. And that is why any devotee becomes a judge. That will be excellent, because like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was the magistrate, he got dictation from Krishna, and none of his judgments were ever overtaken, or nobody even tried again, or what do you call, appealed again to a higher court and all that. That didn't happen, because he was like that. When he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, neutral, mediators, envious, friends and enemies, pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. How can we do that? Only when we see everyone as souls, then we can do that. Because they will think that what to do. Some people are against me, but then it's their karma, whatever. They are not that. They are actually the soul. They are very good. But externally, something, dictation. They are under Maya. That is because a yogi, if he is not doing anything wrong or bad, he is not offending anyone, and then still people are, you know, a yogi should not have any enemies. There may be enemies because on their own they may not like this yogi for whatever reason. But a yogi should not consider anybody as his enemy, and he must be this thing, Um, so normally, if somebody is envious of us, then I mean, we think, and then we get disturbed, right? We try to avoid them, or we also take some steps to also harm him. And whoever appreciates us, we think, he's got very good judgment. He's very intelligent because he thinks I am very good. So like this. So the bandhu means a well-wisher. So this is more difficult than seeing pebbles and gold with an equal eye. So then, but if we are able to do that, then our meditation will be uninterrupted, because it disturbs us sometimes, right? Some people, envious people, try to say something nasty. Or you see our prime minister even forget, I mean, okay, our spiritual, I mean, there are so many, I mean, ISKCON has got many such devotees, very advanced devotees who are not affected. But for everyone to see, you see how our Prime Minister, even Modi, he is a yogi also in the sense because he is doing it as a service only for God, and he believes very much in God. So many people are attacking him all the time. He doesn't get disturbed at all, right? And he doesn't try to be vindictive or anything. So that is how we can be like that. Um, by yoga, through yoga. So the more we chant Hare Krishna mantra, there are so many devotees, they have said that, oh, my boss is troubling me so much. He's really doing such politics against me. He hates me, all that. And then what do? They'll bring the boss for the program. Please, please come. And they'll try to give them prasadam and they will request other devotees, please preach to him. So they are able to overcome that. They don't think of what do I do. Most people will try to do some other politics, go to the higher up and say something nasty about him and create trouble for him. That is how the material mind works. But devotees, because they've conquered over that mind and they know that, what to do. They're all conditioned souls. This is how they'll behave. So they are not affected by that. And they think that if they get Krishna consciousness, they will also change. Or even family members, then, somebody, mother-in-law is troubling or whatever. And then they will say, do program in my house. Okay, please also preach to my mother-in-law, whoever it may be. So in this way, they become well-wishers. So very easily through Krishna consciousness, we can develop this being equal to everyone, because we understand that everyone, if they chant Hare Krishna, no, they will also overcome the mind. Because they're not chanting Hare Krishna only, the mind is uh, playing all tricks on them. And we understand that before we became devotees, our mind was also giving us all kinds of problems. We were getting disturbed, and then we also got angry, and we hated people who were not nice to us. All these things. But then when you chant Hare Krishna, then it's okay. These things keep happening because as long, and why it happens also, we understand. Normally people don't understand how the mind works. Psychology, now only people are studying it a bit. Otherwise, people don't know anything. I mean, modern science doesn't know much about how the mind works. Very little. Now they've understood, so there's counseling and all that is there. But if you read Bhagavad Gita, you will become an expert psychologist, because you know how the mind works, what it is that makes people behave in a particular way. And then by listening to them, listening to their problems, and then you can by following Krishna. Krishna, what he did when Arjuna was so disturbed, and he told Krishna, I don't want to fight. And then he wanted to walk away, right? And what did Krishna do? He was just listening very patiently. He didn't try to give him advice in the beginning. He just listened to him. And then Arjuna, because he saw that Krishna was very, I mean, he didn't, he allowed him to burst all his emotion, I mean, to just reveal everything. And then he felt satisfied. I mean, he became calm. And because Arjuna asked Krishna, now please you guide me, I don't know what to do. He developed a trust because Krishna listened to him without judgment. He was not judging him. He was just listening. And after that, he told him whatever he actually gave him a lot of knowledge. He didn't just tell him, you better listen to what I say. Okay, I'm God. Now you just fight. That's all. He didn't say like that. He tried to convince Arjuna why he should fight. And at the end, he said, have you understood? Then you deliberate on this and you do what you wish to do. So he gave him the freedom also. So this is how we have to counsel people. First, you listen, don't talk, and very attentively listen to their problem, and then they are satisfied because they have taken out everything, whatever was in their heart and mind that was troubling. Then they develop a trust that you care for them because you just listened without simply disturbing them or I'm very busy, okay, say it fast. Now say, okay, quickly, don't elaborate, just say in 5 minutes. No, they didn't do that. Or, keep looking at the watch or keep tapping at the table. Oh, this person, when will they stop? No, Krishna was just standing there all the time. I mean, I'm for you, kind of. He was just standing and listening very, very patiently, attentively to Arjuna. So Arjuna developed deep, I mean, anyway, he does love Krishna, but I'm saying in this case, because he was confiding in him, he developed a trust. Yes, whatever Krishna says will be perfect because he loves me, that relationship. So if we listen like that, then whatever we say, we have to explain why, what is better. Once you allow them to speak and they've got trust in you, then you tell whatever, the way Krishna is nicely explaining. And then finally, he's not attached that Arjuna should listen to him. He said, Arjuna, have you listened? Do you want to again hear anything? He will say that. I mean, if you want any clarifications, please let me know. And if you have understood, then you deliberate what you wish to do. So complete freedom. So this is the best counseling technique. And not only that, all the how to understand the mind. What are we made up of? Why does the mind behave in such a way? Everything is given here. What are the three modes? They don't know. The modern psychologists, they don't know. It's such a wonderful scientific way that Krishna is explaining.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Did Krishna tell Arjuna that now if you run away from the war, the society will criticize you from that you ran away from your duties? It's a duty as for a Kshatriya to fight. So the society will criticize Arjuna. Is that what Krishna told? Did he say that?
Yeah, that is because he was trying to say, because Arjuna was not advanced in yoga, right? So in the beginning, he was trying to say that from material perspective also you should fight. Because if you prematurely, before you're advanced in yoga, you go away, you'll always be thinking about this. And then you will feel very hurt if people call you a coward, isn't it? And for a for an honorable person like Arjuna, he was such a greatly honored person. And if he is dishonored, that is worse than death for him. So he was saying, even from a material consciousness, this is not the correct thing to do because you'll be very disturbed. But first thing that Krishna gave him was spiritual knowledge. See, material problems, but spiritual solutions. The minute you come to the spiritual platform, then you can understand how to solve problems. So that is what Krishna did. But he was trying from see, suppose Arjuna said, I don't believe in soul. So Krishna wanted to checkmate him by saying, even if you think you're not the soul, if you just run away from here, you're going to be miserable. So the same tactic we also have to use, because not everybody will immediately accept that I will work as a soul. They may still have some doubts. So then even from a material perspective, you have to tell. That is why.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
So pure devotional service, chanting Hare Krishna mantra gives realization of the Supreme. More and more you'll feel why we feel calm, why we feel happy, because we are experiencing Krishna. We are realizing Krishna more and more. Then we love Hare Krishna mantra. Oh, I can't be without chanting even one day. Right? You tell one of the devotees who are chanting 16 rounds every day, today you don't chant, okay, just relax. We take a holiday. They can't. Because it's like you develop a relationship with him. It is Krishna, and you want him to be with you. So that is how it is. And then we can develop all these good qualities. We can control the mind, and then we'll also develop all these good qualities. A devotee, he's not very attached to that I should buy a lot of gold ornaments and I must they're satisfied with whatever you won't see devotees going and shopping all the time for gold and like that attachment will not be there. So in one sense, gold and pebble, they don't make so much distinction also. And also about well-wishers, non-well-wisher. I mean, a nice devotee who is really happy in his devotional service won't bother about all these things. Will just be very happy in doing their service. They're very happy. And if somebody is disturbing, they'll try to preach to them or try to help them or like that, or just avoid them. So, okay, we must stop now. And this section is also over 1 to 9, right? 1 second. Now, there's a question here by Pudika, I think. Hare Krishna Mataji, you said people in Krishna consciousness should control their mind. Then if I have some materialistic tensions, such as work pressure, exam tension, teacher said something, boss said something, at that time we feel anger, depression. At that time, how to react, Mataji? I skipped chanting yesterday. Why did you skip? Because you were disturbed?
No, Mataji, this was just my general question. I don't know why I felt sleepy yesterday. So
okay. So that is what. Wait, what's your question? How people should control their mind. Then if I have some materialistic tensions, okay, natural, okay, it is natural that you'll be disturbed, but you have to preach to your mind. And who am I actually? You know, it takes some time. So first thing is you chant, so that itself will release a lot of tensions, because you're coming in touch with Krishna. So your soul becomes activated, it wakes up, and your mind becomes controlled. Even you don't have to actually try to control the mind. You just listen to Krishna's names, mind will get controlled. So that is why whenever you're disturbed, chant Hare Krishna mantra, then Krishna will take over and the mind will be subdued. Then you'll feel happy, relaxed. Then you can overcome. And you can talk to some devotee. So they will also preach to you about Bhagavad Gita and how to take things, or how some solutions. For all material problems, we have spiritual solutions. Like how Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, which is actually the solution and which will take us out of this problem.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Shall we
Mataji,
go to
Hare Krishna, I have one more doubt. Can I please?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Mataji, what is the difference between humble and self-respect, Mataji?
Okay. Humble and self-respect. Okay. Humble, both are qualities of the soul, and it automatically happens. See, you are humble on the spiritual platform because we understand we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are servants of Krishna. That is real humility. You don't have to externally try to be humble. Oh, I have to do like this, like that. Not like that. Within your heart, the minute you understand that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and I am a tiny soul, and then I'm a servant. If you understand that, that is real humility. And what is self-respect? Self-respect means because I'm the servant of Krishna, I'm important, right? As a servant of Krishna, just like Hanuman, and when he was insulted by Ravana, then he got very angry, not for himself. He didn't say, do you know who I am, how powerful I am? He didn't talk like that. He said he got angry because he thought it was a insult for Ram. And he, as a servant of Ram, if he was insulted, it is indirectly insult to Lord Ram. So he took it up and punished him by burning Lanka. So when we are in that state, when we are identifying ourselves as servant of Krishna, and we don't listen if people are insulting or this thing. Okay, if they're saying they try to abuse us or they're trying unreasonable things, we don't have to listen to that. Because why? Because you're respecting yourself. Why? Because you're a servant of Krishna. That is self-respect. And false ego is because, and can I attend Bhagavad Gita classes? When? Okay, let me finish this. But when you're thinking of bodily identification and you're saying, you know who I am? Who my father is or my husband is or wife is or whatever, you try to get some material, this thing, because of that you feel very proud and entitled. That is false ego. But generally, you should have that self-respect. dignity, which comes, why? Because of our real identity. And so humility and self-respect can coexist, do coexist, because both are qualities of the soul.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What is this? Also, Mataji, I give my chanting a miss during these 4 days of every month. Is that okay? Oh, of course you can chant. Of course you can attend Bhagavad Gita class, because this is a spiritual activity and it's not limited by that. That is what Prabhupada said.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Utkarshni Mataji, you have some questions?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Now, Mataji, what is the meaning of Satyavesh avatar, that Vedavyasa which you were telling?
Satyavesh means one living entity, some jiva who's a great devotee. He is given the powers of Krishna just for one particular thing, not permanently, but to do some job. So like that. Whom did I say was Satyavesh avatar? Vedavyasa. Okay. Yeah, Vedavyas is actually a living entity, a jiva, very exalted, but he has got the potency of the Lord to do this particular job of writing all the Vedas and other Upanishads, everything.
Okay, Mataji. And is Parashuram Purna avatar?
No, Parashuram is also a Satyavesh avatar.
Oh.
What did you ask? Is Parashuram
Parashuram, he's included in Dashavatar because he's also a sage only. So that's...
Yeah, but he is incarnation like that. Shakti, just to destroy all the Kshatriyas. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Utkarshni Mataji, please ask.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Okay. Which is the best way to disentangle from this material existence? And then in connection to that, even a pure soul also, they get entangled in this material because of what situation, or what is in what pull does even a pure soul get entangled? Firstly, which is the best way? Which is the best way to disentangle? Just one word answer it is.
Actually, they know the answer. But
yes, everyone knows the answer. It's very simple.
By engaging in Krishna
mind,
consciousness.
Mataji.
Yeah. Engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. Okay. And then the second part of that, even the pure soul get entangled in this material world. Yeah, this also concern to mind only. In what will the mind get involved in? Hare Krishna. Okay.
Mind is the cause of bondage.
I didn't understand the question fully, Mataji. Sorry.
No. For the first part is correct. The best way to disentangle is the mind should be engaged in
Krishna consciousness.
Okay, when the pure soul, no, when a pure soul, yeah, even the pure soul get entangled in this material world because of mind only. But in how, like in what?
Because in the mode of passion, Mataji, intelligence.
Oh.
Yeah. Conditioned mind, Mataji.
Yeah, to do, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, is it because of the false ego?
Yes, false. Mataji, yes, Mataji. Fifth shloka. But
False ego, right, Mataji?
Yeah, because the mind is involved with the false ego, which desire to lord it over the material nature.
Correct.
Because he want to be the boss, like that, no, Mataji?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji, Kala Mataji. Okay. Okay. What happens when the mind is uncontrolled and when it is controlled? How it will be? I mean, the effect. How is it?
When the mind is controlled, it hears to Supreme Lord's guidance and it will be more friendly. Uncontrolled mind gives way to less greed, which drags us to hell, Mataji. Is that right?
Mataji.
Yes. Correct.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Annapurna.
Can you describe about the mind based on this Amrita Upanishad? It's very briefly explained very nicely.
What is the question?
About the mind, Mataji. Just brief description, very nicely it's given, Amrita Bindu Upanishad, based on that. Yeah, you can take the help of the Gita book also.
Mind is the cause of bondage and mind is cause of liberation. Mind is absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from sense objects is the cause of liberation.
Yes, very good.
I read it from the text only, Mataji.
Yeah. It's okay.
Okay. Okay, next is Samadhi. What is Samadhi? Yeah, this is also just a one sentence answer.
One who sees happiness and disaster in equipoised state is called samadhi. Practical state of practical.
Yeah, and it's Samadhi, or it's also called absorption in the Supreme.
Absorption in Supreme.
It's in 7th purport. Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
It's okay, no, Mataji?
When does he when is he able to be in Samadhi?
Mataji,
When he is unaffected by dualities.
Okay.
She mentioned that.
Okay.
Explain how the mind works according to the senses dictation and the dictation given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How does that mind works? How it works? Both when the senses dictate and when the Supreme Personality of Godhead dictates. How does it work?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. If so, Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Krishna, if he dictates, will feel satisfaction, it will always be a success. Like as in Mataji pointed out, Prabhupada's his disciple just to ask, why are you reading your own books? He said, I didn't write it. Krishna dictated, I wrote it. So since Krishna had dictated it, in today's world, Prabhupada's books are all over the world. They become like very famous. But senses, but they won't always show us the right way. Am I right, Mataji?
Yeah. So, what was your question, Kashni?
Mataji, how I just asked how the mind works when it listens to the dictation of the senses and to the dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Same
So,
7.
and what is the effect of that?
Effect also.
Right,
Yes.
that's what you want to know.
Yes, Mataji. And Purvi Mataji, or who answered? I didn't.
And how do you get that? How do you get to listen to the dictation? By doing what?
Pure devotional service, Mataji. Chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Yeah. So that's what, by doing spiritual, transcendental service to the Lord. And then what is revealed to such a person?
Krishna reveals himself to that devotee, Mataji.
Yeah. And what are the 3 aspects of the Lord that he reveals? What is the
Brahman.
first thing? Huh?
No, I'm answering, sorry. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realization.
No, not that. The form, first you see the Lord, okay? First he'll reveal his form. You can see Krishna. Then you'll be able to understand his qualities. And then you can actually see the leelas happening in your heart, like a television. Whatever is happening in the spiritual world, you can see in your heart. So all these things are revealed to somebody who's doing transcendental devotional service to Krishna.
Okay,
I mean, in the perfect stage.
First Krishna is revealed, then his qualities, and then Leela, Mataji.
Yeah.
Pastimes.
Yes. So can through one getting lot of knowledge, can we get Krishna? Can we become Krishna conscious? If you read a lot of knowledge, we get a lot of knowledge.
No, Mataji, Hare Krishna, no, Mataji. Actually, when we connected to Krishna, then we are going to get conscious of Krishna, right, Mataji?
So how do we but when can we know Krishna?
When we associate with devotees, pure devotees.
Yeah, then what happens to us? What happens to the knowledge that we have? In the 8th, this thing, it is there, purport.
Mataji, it's Hare Krishna, it's transcendental knowledge that helps us. Because when becomes
transcendental knowledge becomes what?
Ready.
In the last paragraph, what does he say?
Ready in his conviction.
Without speculation, we will be able to understand and give surrender us, and we can do service to Krishna, Mataji. So with that, we are able to do.
Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna. That means he can actually feel Krishna. Okay, not that it is just, see, in the beginning we just say Krishna is everywhere, he's also in the heart and all that. But when you're doing service, you actually feel Krishna more and more in your life. That is realized knowledge. So that is when you can actually become a devotee, isn't it? But because he's satisfied with pure devotional service, by realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions, but by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. So simply having knowledge, we can get confused because we'll see some contradictions. Oh, in the Shastra saying like this here and something else here. Then we may, we may think what to believe and so on. We may start doubting. But if we are realized, that means you have the knowledge and then you work on it, you do devotional service, then you actually feel, you experience the truth more and more. And then we will we'll never give up. Because it is the realized soul who's actually self-controlled because he's surrendered to Krishna. He's transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. Because most people in the beginning, they are very enamored by getting more and more knowledge to become a scholar and all these things. But when a person experiences Krishna by doing pure devotional service, he is not interested in all unnecessary knowledge. Only knowledge which is, glorifying Krishna, he is interested. Is that okay? Is it clear?
Yes,
it's like, the food, suppose you eat the food and you have, why do we eat food? We eat food so that we can become strong. Now, if you just have eaten the food, but it's not yet digested, unless you do work, okay, or you're walking up and down, or you do some physical activity, then only the food will be digested and you'll get strength. Simply eating food without digestion is no use. So like that, whatever knowledge we get, we should act on it. As we should understand that Krishna is the supreme, so I must act as a servant. You serve him, then all the knowledge gets digested and you will experience, what is it? We want to experience Krishna. That is realization. More and more about Krishna. Then we will never, we'll never leave Krishna consciousness. But there are other, these Jnani types, they don't want to do service. So they'll keep on speculating, keep on reading more and more books. But they can easily also fall out of Krishna consciousness because they're trying to understand everything with their mind, with their, so that is why. That is why, along with chanting, you have to do some service so that is the digestive part. We do some service, then all that you are doing, you will actually realize it.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, service means what kind of service it should be, Mataji? Pleasing Krishna, and other than that, can you please guide me? How should be the service, Mataji? Actual
See, it
service.
starts with chanting. Chanting you do regularly in a mood of service. I want to please you, Krishna. All this is also service. You're listening to Bhagavad Gita. That is also service. Then when you're cooking, you offer it with great devotion to Krishna. That is also service. And even if you're doing arati and worshipping Krishna, that is also service. Then in the festivals, temples, some devotees ask you to do some service for Krishna. Then that is also devotional service. Then you go tell people about Krishna consciousness, bring them to programs, or tell them about chanting, and also engage them about book distribution. You do all that. That is also service to Krishna. So by doing all these simple services, just in the mood that I must please Krishna, then all the knowledge, you will actually assimilate it. You will actually develop real faith in Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Mataji, is service mode, is that Sattva Guna, some type of modes will be there, no, Mataji?
Yes.
Can you please guide me sometime, after some time, Mataji? It's time taking.
Okay. Yeah, Sattva Guna, definitely, because Sattva Guna is not based on getting material desires for the sake of service. We simply want to do to please Krishna. We are not even interested that everyone should know that I'm doing all the service, or we don't tell Krishna, see, I did so much, you give me this, that. We don't ask him. We're just happy to just do it out of love. That's it. That is Sattva Guna. In Rajo Guna, we want something in return. And in Tamo Guna, we do service for all wrong things, right? Maybe we give charity to some drunkards, like that. So that is Tamoguna. So we want to, or we are very lazy about spiritual life. That is also Tamoguna. We just want to eat and sleep. That's all we are interested. That is also Tamoguna, comfort zone. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. And tomorrow's class, I wanted to answer. Purvi had a question. I wasn't satisfied that day what I told. I can explain. Okay, tomorrow I will say that. About, when something goes wrong and she thinks that it is Krishna is dissatisfied. But it's not like that, because Krishna, when something happens in your office or on that day, it is because of your karma. And Krishna has nothing to do with that. I mean, though Maya also works under his control, but he is not judging you by your karma coming and going. He is judging you by how you're trying to reach out to him, how you're doing all these services. So that he will be very happy. That is all. If you have done that, you can be sure he is happy with you.
Yes.
Okay, so don't connect with something happens bad and that's because Krishna is angry with you. No, that is coming according to karma.
Actually, what I feel is like if I've had a bad day, like I'll argue with my mother, then later she'll console me. We'll become friends again. So, but then is Krishna angry with me? What happened today? That's what bothers me sometimes.
What? I didn't get you.
If I've had a bad day, maybe something went wrong at home because of me, and I get
Because
chocolate
of?
for it.
Because of what?
Because of me, if something goes wrong,
Huh.
then at that time I'll feel like bad. Is Krishna also angry with me?
No,
Because
no.
he's my final comfort. Everybody at home is angry at me. He's my comfort. I'll go to him only then.
See, if you just go to Krishna and glorify him and say, I'm your servant, you'll feel very happy. That's why you chant Hare Krishna, and Krishna is very happy. He'll accept you.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Just 3 times we'll chant Hare Krishna mantra. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakal Sakarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Ananta Koti Vaishnavendra ki jai. See you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Mataji.